Before our learned Vice Chancellor, because he is committed to several programs, I wish to make a couple of observations. Economics department was very strong in terms of faculty, in terms of programs of study, and most sought after even for admissions, PhD admissions. Unfortunately, over the years, the faculty has not only declined, it has almost come to a 0 point. So in that connection, I only appeal because since he has mentioned that he will associate with the alumni and retired faculty till the faculty are recruited. I would like to make a special appeal to him that you can see at least half a dozen of our retired faculty who are active, healthy, and then intellectually strong. They would certainly, they don't want even a cup of coffee, no remuneration. They can deliver a lecture every week, one lecture. Samurthy, Sudarshan Rao, Professor Raju, Professor Ramchandrudu, I can name several of them. They will volunteer to teach. Second request is, the strength of the department was quantitative economics. Quantitative economics. I was surprised to see that program has been withdrawn. I would personally make an appeal to you to see that this program is revived. My personal request, because we are all your pensioners. We owe to this university. And that's why I'm making this special appeal. I'm sorry, it's not to embarrass you, but I may not get another opportunity before the centenary because you will be very, very busy. That's why I get crashed into the program only to make this appeal. Thank you.
Thank you.
చేతికి
కరెక్టే సార్ ఫార్మల్ సార్ ఇది ఫార్మల్ సార్ వైస్ సార్ ప్లీజ్ సార్ నో సార్ ప్లీజ్
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very good morning to you all. On behalf of the Andhra Pradesh Economic Association, I welcome welcome you all for this 42nd annual conference being organized by the Department of Economics of Andhra University. Respected Chairman of our association, Professor L.K. Mohanrao garu, respected Professor K.C. Reddy garu, former Chairman of our association, former Chairman of erstwhile State APSTI, founder Chancellor of RGUKT of New State, and Chancellor of RGUKT, and the present Chairman of SIDA, Visakhapatnam, Professor N. Satyanarayana garu, the conference president for today's presidential address, Professor Ravi garu, the Principal of Arts, Commerce and Law of Andhra University, Local Organizing Secretary, Professor Lily Gracie Madam, and the senior faculty members, my teachers of the Department of Economics, and other life members and the conference registered members of the association, faculty who have assembled from different universities of the state and also from other states, former conference presidents of AP Economic Association, executive members, invitees, guests, friends, research scholars, students, friends. I take this opportunity to congratulate the large number of our faculty members we have assembled here. For the last so many years, the number of our presentation for the conference is very few members are attending, but for this conference, it is a good gathering. Apart from organizing our conference, this Silver Jubilee lecture, this year the Silver Jubilee lecture will be delivered by Professor Samurthy garu. And apart from that, we have planned to organize Professor Jagadishwar Rao garu's memorial lecture in the department in this conference itself by Professor D. Subbarao garu, the former Governor of RBI. But unfortunately, it is not materialized now. But in the due course of time, certainly it will be done in the Department of Economics of this university. As mentioned by our chairman, it is during the tenure of Professor K.C. Reddy garu as the chairman of the Andhra Pradesh Economic Association, he introduced the organization of at least 3 pre-annual conferences prior to the organization of the annual conference in the 3 locations of 3 regions of Andhra Pradesh, erstwhile Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Rayalaseema and coastal Andhra. After the bifurcation, we used to continue the practice of holding that pre-annual conference, identifying the local economic issues. Apart from the universities, government degree colleges and aided and unaided degree colleges have came forward to organize this one-day seminar, one-day pre-annual conference, identifying the either current economic issue or the local economic problems. So in that series, during the last few years, we have organized the conferences in several colleges, namely in Tirupati, Nandikotkur of Rayalaseema, and Mailavaram near Vijayawada, Avanigadda, Bhimavaram, Chintalapudi, Ongole, Guntur, Narsarapeta, and these are some of the areas where the potential colleges interested in academic activities have come forward, identifying certain problems. I thank some of our members who have voluntarily come forward to participate in those academic activities. And last year we have this annual conference in PV Siddhartha College, Vijayawada, under the able guidance of my teacher, Professor L.K. Mohan Rao Garu, who is also looking after the academic activities in that college, have effectively organized the conference for 2 days in the March 2025 on very important themes like sustainable agricultural development with a specific focus on natural farming, and the issues pertaining to the national educational policy and Vikasit Bharat was the third topic. And Professor Bhanumurthy, who is currently the director of Madras School of Economics, have delivered the presidential address. Professor Gallup of Institute of Development Studies, Visakhapatnam, had delivered the Silver Jubilee lecture. And this year, we invited Dr. Satyanarayana Garu, the former principal of PV Siddhartha College, Vijayawada, to deliver the presidential address. And Professor Samurthy Garu will deliver the Silver Jubilee lecture afternoon. And my one more appeal to you all is, I request our senior professors to motivate the youngsters to enroll in our association and for their active academic participation in our activities, both in annual conference and also in the pre-annual conferences in the years to come. But unfortunately, during the last few years, the conferences in this part of the state are not being organized. Hence, I request and invite the faculty and the colleges of this region to hold at least a pre-annual conference at the initial stage, because now we are holding the two-day annual conference here. In the years to come, at least one pre-annual conference is to be conducted in the north coastal area. So with these few remarks of the activities of the association, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity, and I also thank the Department of Economics for conducting this event in a grand manner. Thank you very much.
Now, I request the education leader to deliver the
Chairman of Andhra Pradesh Economic Association, my good friend Professor L.K. Mohan Rao, Principal of the College of Arts and Commerce, Professor Ravi, President of Conference President for the year 2026, good friend Professor Velluri Satyanarayana, Secretary of the Association, Professor Koteshwar Rao, and our good friend who will be delivering Professor Pathasarthi Memorial Lecture, Professor Samurthy. I see a number of my friends, former colleagues attending this conference. A very pleasant thing to see them. The Leela Garu, the Rani Gopal Garu, the Tara, the Sudarshan Rao, former Vice Chancellor, Vikram Singapore University, and my good friend, Professor Ramchandrudu, and Professor Raju, and I see number of others. Uh, I see sitting there, Ramesh Babu. I haven't seen him for decades. I think I am seeing him for the first time. Parmeshwar Rao, Professor Ramanaidu, and I also see good friends like the Swami, Professor Satyasundaram, and I see these familiar faces in the conference. When Professor Lily Grace and Professor Asalata came to me and requested me to deliver the inaugural address, I was not sure. And there was an little discouragement too for me. No, madam, not many people will attend, only students will be there. You may not take it seriously. But when I looked at the topics for discussion, which are all dear to my heart, therefore, I know people like Professor Ramchandrudu, then uh, others who are experts in urbanization. But then for me, who taught development economics for over 30 years, 35 years, well, I immediately said, I will do it. So therefore, I'll be talking. I know we're already delay, running out of time. I'll be as brief as possible. My only intention is to focus on the main issue. My theme is based on the very important themes that were selected by the association for discussion today. My good friend Professor Siva Prasad, I forgot to mention him, and also Professor Pulla Rao, Professor Krishnamurthy. Well, a number of others who are there, Professor Ramakrishna, a number of other faculty. Every Indian today is aspiring to become a citizen of India, would like to see India as an advanced country. That is nothing but talking how to make India as what we say Vikasit Bharat. What is Vikasit Bharat? The core of it is to make India a developed country by 2047, to coincide with 100 years of India's independence. What is the definition for a developed country? To the extent I know, to the extent our literature says, no specific definition of a developed country, except the World Bank said any country where the per capita incomes are at a level that is compared to the advanced countries, that country could be recognized as a developed country. World Bank further said that the current per capita income for a developed country is $14,000. $14,000. And which is likely to increase by 2047 to $40,000. Well, when you look at India and compare it with other countries, what is India's current per capita income? It is $3,005. So from $3,005 going to 14,000 and then to 40,000, how do you do it? Well, all my former colleagues and young students too would know what is growth rate, how growth rate is arrived at. It is nothing but gross fixed capital formation divided with incremental capital output ratio. It's a simple way of computing. What is the gross fixed capital formation today? It is around 33.5. 33.5. What is the incremental capital output ratio? It is around 5. So India has to achieve a growth rate of 7.5 to 8% on a sustained basis till 2047, not only to become a developed country, but also to surpass other advanced countries to become a third most important developed country, besides or behind USA and China. And nobody is having a dispute that India cannot overtake China and the United States. But what we are all looking today is you need to surpass both Japan and Germany. So Rangarajan and his group, they have estimated it is difficult to reduce the incremental capital output ratio from 5 to 4.5 or 4. Therefore, the focus needs to be on raising the gross capital formation. It's estimated that if you want 7.5 to 8% growth rate, your gross capital formation needs to be improved from 33.54 to by 2 percentage points. 2 percentage points. How do you do it? Well, all of us know that you can raise fixed capital through public investment, infrastructural investment. It also requires private investments. We have been noticing for several years that private investments are not coming as expected. And therefore, there is a problem. Then, Viksit Bharat is not just raising the per capita income. Well, Viksit Bharat means making every person of the country partners in development, giving them access to resources, access to economic and social, even political resources. Given that Well, you need to think in terms of several ways of achieving it. How do you achieve Viksit Bharat? One is accelerating the rate of economic growth. Second is making development multidimensional. It cannot be unidimensional. Indian economy has been growing with a more focus on services at the cost of manufacturing, and our agricultural productivity has also not improved as expected. So therefore, economy need to make more dimensional. Well, domestic demand versus exports. But there are countries like Southeast Asian countries which have achieved miracle growth rates focusing on exports. Is it possible for India, particularly at this juncture, because of geopolitical, geo-economic conditions? In case of China also, focusing on exports, they have achieved miracle growth rates. But India, at this point of time, I'm sure you will all agree with me that exports cannot be the driver of economic growth. So you need to go back and think in terms of making exports, making services on par with manufacturing. Manufacturing, services related to manufacturing will have a better sustainability than services delinking with services and agriculture. That's the second point. The third point is absorbing new technologies. Well, technology is not new to society. Technology started with Industrial Revolution. From Industrial Revolution onwards, it has been a process of technological innovations, inventions, and then developments. These technological revolutions have been there with the country. So why do you worry about artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is both horizontal and vertical. Horizontal in the sense that it covers every aspect of the society. It covers from a missile to taking care of a household in case of education and health in a rural area. So it is therefore, artificial intelligence has been welcomed into India with both enthusiasm and a matter of concern. Enthusiasm because people realize that artificial intelligence will promote productivity, improve productivity. Trepidation or a matter of concern because artificial intelligence will replace jobs, In the recently held India AA summit, they have come up with a concept called Manav. Manav. They named it as Manav. Manav is nothing but making artificial intelligence as relevant to a society like India. You cannot have a model like Silicon Valley. You cannot have a model like government-driven artificial intelligence in China. But India must have artificial intelligence that can simultaneously address the issues of equity, accessibility, productivity, and everything. That's why we say that it is both horizontal and vertical. India needs to adopt these technologies, need to adopt them in a way that technology will not only promote growth, but also make everybody partner in development. In a democratic context, in a society like India, where inequalities are still there, notwithstanding the fact that World Bank has said that India is the fourth equal countries. I think some of you must have seen that based on certain data, they have come up with a conclusion that India is the fourth equal society. I think that's where I think many people have some kind of disbelief on the data sets. Then the other point is what my friend Professor Ramchandra again would call it demographic dividend. Is demographic dividend in India is going to be a potential source of economic growth? And is demographic dividend is going to be serving the cause of everyone in the country? When I say everyone, across the country, in a federal context, we say that demographic dividend need to capture the equality in terms of geographical location. We have today what is called North-South divide. We have North-West divide, North-East divide. Why I am saying that there is a divide? Because take for example Andhra Pradesh. The current fertility rate is 1.5 vis-a-vis for the country as a whole 2%, 2. Which means Andhra Pradesh, I think why I am mentioning particularly Andhra Pradesh is Andhra Pradesh is the one state which has come up with a novel population management policy, saying that a family having 3 children will be. Now for that you need to look at what we call proportion of youngsters in the population, proportion of aging people in the population. Well, young persons will not be a liability to the society. Old age people dependence on the state and the country, as the state and the country becomes aging. There will be problems of what we call taking care of them, taking care of people in the name of social security. We don't have any social security in this country. There may be here and there some cash transfers, but in terms of an integrated policy of social security, we have nothing in this country. That becomes a major point. Now, aging population means, see, if the proportion of, I don't want to trouble you with the data, but I will only focus on the basic theme as such. The data is available wherever you go. Then you can think in terms of what we call median age, where again AP's median age is higher than the median age in the country as a whole compared to other countries. And then women participation rate, there again AP is below the national standard and below. That's why you say that states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, AP, West Bengal, Maharashtra. Now there are serious implications. Implications in terms of transfer from the center, their own revenues, share in the GST, and transfer through the Finance Commission. Transfers to the Finance Commission, on both the grounds, these states are likely to lose. Top of it, they will also lose their political lobbying power. And with the new population data that is coming up as 2021 basis census, and that will be the basis for defining the parliament seats. It's estimated that the northern states like UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, they will have higher share, and states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, West Bengal will have lower seats. The lower you are, and then your lobbying power will naturally come down. That's where I think people need to think in terms of a population management policy. AP is a pioneer in that. I think we need to appreciate government of AP. And somebody might say, no, it looks silly. But every new initiative, when it comes, it might look silly, but when you start working on it, well, you will understand the beauty. That's why two chief ministers, Stalin and Chandrababu Naidu, these are the two people who have come up with a definite policy as far as population is concerned. So you need to think in terms of that. The other one is for Vikasit Bharat, in a federal context again, you need to think in terms of strengthening the states. A strong states would make the center strong. To make the states weak, it goes without saying that the center will also become weak. And as a follow-up of this, I would say, there are already number of studies. There is a concurrent list. In the concurrent list, states will be given the responsibility, center controlling it. Responsibility of implementation, resource transfers will be the responsibility of the center. Now, I would personally feel that if you want to empower states, if you want to ensure that there will be an effective implementation of policy, well, these functions need to be transferred to the states with accountability. Transfer them to the states and make them accountable for it. I'm not saying that leave them free, make them accountable. See, monitoring implementation of a program sitting in Delhi would be much more difficult than monitoring it sitting in a state capital. So ultimately, every program has to be implemented through the states only. Why do you want to overwork? You take care of foreign policy, you take care of defense, you take care of some of those strategic issues. Leave them the routine daily matters to the states. That would make the country center strong, states also strong, implementation will become effective. That's the another dimension of democracy. Now the last aspect is what I would say urbanization. You don't build cities for the sake of corporates. You build cities for the sake of people at large. There's a beauty concept called 8 to 80. If people at 8 and at 80, they can happily cross the road. That's the stage where urban systems are catering to the needs of everybody. Catering to the needs of everybody. What people want? You want more urbanization. If you want to have more manufacturing, you want more urbanization. More urbanization means pressure on the infrastructure, urban infrastructure. Urban infrastructure including housing, healthcare, education. So therefore, we must think in terms of what we would say, making urban agglomerations more livable for everybody. Like saying, John A. Robinson, the co-winner of Nobel Prize in Economics in 2024, he has said beautifully that when a person driving a motor car, if he travels by using public transport, well, a poor man can drive a motor car. That is the situation where urbanization can really take into consideration. My last point is, I'm sorry I've taken a little more time. India needs to invest more in education, health, and R&D. Our investment in education is still, I'm talking about only government investment, public investment, still below 3% of GDP. Our investment in health is still 0.5. Our investment in R&D is also very low, below 3%. If you compare these things with countries like China, USA, UK, and Japan, we are nowhere. You need to come up with increasing. I've been talking about improving health, improving education, and you see, over the years, we have moved away from public investments to strengthen public institutions, to evolving policies that would strengthen private institutions, both health and education. Private investments are necessary, but not at the cost of public institutions. So strengthen the public institutions, improve R&D. Well, you can't, as I said, you can't have a model like Silicon Valley model or Chinese model of AI for India. India requires. But then innovation requires R&D. Without R&D, you can't come up with a new model. That's where R&D becomes important. So unless these things are taken up seriously, Viksit Bharat may not be successful. I hope that Viksit Bharat will become feasible and governments will realize what I would say importance of these aspects of Viksit Bharat earlier than later. I would be grateful to the AP Economic Association, to the chairman, the secretary and treasurer, and colleagues in the economics department, the local secretary and the local convener and joint convener, Professor Lily Grace and Professor Asha Lata, and our colleagues for giving this opportunity to share my thoughts with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Your lecture reminds me of my student days where you taught us economic development and planning, sir. Actually, I thought that your lecture will be for 1 hour. This is only for 30 minutes you completed, sir. Now, vote of thanks by Lily Grace. Local secretary.
రండి సరే చేశాను వెల్కమ్ మోహన్ రావు గారు చేస్తారా
Now it is my pleasant duty to propose a formal vote of thanks. First and foremost, I express my sincere gratitude to our chief patron, Professor G.P. Rajshekar, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Andhra University, for his constant encouragement and support to academic initiatives and for guiding us during this historic centenary year. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our chief guest, Professor K.C. Reddy, whose presence today is great honor for this conference. His distinguished contributions to higher education and policy continue to inspire the academic community. His continuous support and encouragement to the School of Economics. I am very thankful to you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. My sincere thanks to Professor L.K. Mohan Rao Garu, Chairman of APEA, and Professor M. Kotesh Rao Garu, Secretary and Treasurer of APEA, for their leadership and extending their cooperation in organizing this conference successfully. Continuously, when we are calling, they are very much presently and very politely, they helped us how to organize and how to do this work. I am very grateful to you, sir. And I'm also my sincere thanks to Dr. N. Satyanarayan Garu, President of this conference, for his valuable, for his presence here all over. They traveled a lot and with the affection and support towards our department and association, they attended this conference. Thank you very much, sir. It just makes no sense if I don't think of Professor Asha, the co-convener. Without her support and coordination, this conference would not have been a success. My sincere thanks to all the professors, senior professors, retired professors, who with their love and affection towards our department, whenever we are inviting them, they are coming and gracing the occasion and making all the occasions very successful. And I personally, for each and everyone, I thank. And I am very grateful to you, madam and professors, sir. I am very grateful to you all. And also I am very thankful to all the delegates who traveled all over from Bangalore, from Chennai, from Hyderabad, from West Bengal, and from Bhimavaram and Guntur, and all places of Andhra Pradesh. I am very grateful to you and I express my heartfelt thanks to everyone, each and every one of you. And also the delegates from the part of Vijayanagaram, Srikakulam and Visakhapatnam, many lecturers, degree college lecturers and students and scholars, they sacrifice their time and they attended this conference. I am very thankful to you, all of you. Without you, this conference may not be a success. And thank you very much. And I also thank Dr. Ramakrishna Garu for his continuous assistance towards organization of this. My sincere appreciation goes to ICSSR Southern Regional Center for sponsoring and supporting this academic gathering. Sagarmala Finance Corporation, it was recommended by one of our alumni, Dr. Ravikant Garu, IAS officer. I am very thankful to him and the organization. And Technosoft Solutions and Dolphin Automobiles, it is one of my friend, Mauri Sudha. She helped me to get support from these two organizations. And I acknowledge the efforts of all faculty members, research scholars, organizing committee members, volunteers, and students of School of Economics, non-teaching staff, non-teaching and supporting staff, whose dedication and teamwork have made this conference possible. Finally, I extend my heartfelt thanks to all the delegates, scholars, and participants who have traveled from different institutions to be part of this conference and contribute to meaningful academic discussion. Finally, I thank press and electronic media. With these words, I once again thank everyone for their presence and wish the conference a good, great success. Thank you all and all.
We have a break of 5 minutes for tea. Immediately after tea, we have educational address and your duty lecture.
The AP Economic Association for having chosen me as the conference president for the 42nd annual conference, which is being held at my alma mater, the School of Economics, Andhra University, where I entered as a postgraduate student in 1972. As a matter of fact, at that time, there is no School of Economics. We studied in the College of Arts, which is later named as Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan College of Arts. It is not out of place to remember the founder, Vice Chancellor, P.R. Reddy Garu and Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan Garu, who laid strong foundations to this university, and now it is enjoying the fruits what they planted in those days. Actually, there is a story goes like this. For it is true, most probably it may be true. To ease out Kattamanchi Ramalinga Reddy Garu from Madras Assembly, Andhra University was established and he was sent to, not Visakhapatnam, I think Vijayawada, as Vice Chancellor of Andhra University. A stalwart, great intellectual, and in those days he was elected as a president of Cambridge Union. And in the case of Madras Legislative Assembly, these politicians are afraid of facing P.R. Reddy Garu. So simply they found out the way, and after establishing this university, he was sent as a Vice Chancellor, founder Vice Chancellor of Andhra University. Whatever it may be, greater and excellent traditions were established under the guidance of these two stalwart Vice Chancellors, Kattamanchi Ramalinga Reddy Garu and Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan Garu. And each one are what we call the present centenary year owes much to the hard efforts of those two great personalities. I am particularly and extremely happy to stand before you during this centenary year because of the privilege conferred on me. I am particularly thankful to my friend Professor L.K. Mohan Rao Garu and other members of the Executive Committee and other members of AP Economic Association for electing me as Conference President. Koteswara Garu is telling just now that people are not coming forward to host the conferences, and his intention, he made it clear to hold at least 3 free conferences and 1 annual conference. It is very difficult, we know, in those days. Actually, it is Professor Radhakrishnan Garu who initiated me to Andhra Pradesh Economic Association in earlier days. We hosted 3 or 4 conferences in our college and associated with this association since the inception. Even then, I am not regular. I might have attended some 15 or 16 conferences. If I want to quote my teacher, late Professor Chandrasekhar, he used to call regularly irregular those students who are irregular to the classes. Regularly irregular, that is the epithet caused by him. And similarly, Koteswara, it will be there. We have to put effort. Most probably, the young generation whom we have to rope in, then only this will sustain. Professor Mohan is telling, since the last 20 years he is trying his level best. But who is, where the mantle next? That is important. This is the only organization who are having. So, it is to the scholars, budding teachers or who entered into the profession just now, and the students. It is your duty and responsibility to shoulder the responsibility and take the association to further heights. At least you sustain it, if not further heights. That is my sincere appeal. Then, before entering into my topic, actually I thought of speaking on freebies, and mischievously I put the title Bleeding Finances, Fleeting Freebies. That is something like a journalistic style, of course, in which I am having some interest. Yeah, before going into the main topic, I want to have a bird's eye view of Indian economy. In his August 2023 Independence Day speech, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, in 2047, when the country celebrates 100 years of independence, my country will be a developed India. Very beautiful and wishful thinking, and we all support it. But the narrative pushed by the government and the media centered on GDP and the stock market. Of course, who are interested in stock market may be knowing that since the last 2 weeks, it is bleeding. And last day, nearly 10,000 points, and it may bleed some more. And there is no possibility in near future, if the war escalates, what will happen, nobody knows. So there will be all-round effect on the world economy, not any single economy. Total, almost all the economies will be affected by this war escalation if it goes. billion economy, $4 billion economy. Leaving Japan behind as there are many hurdles to reach this goal. Once upon a time, actually, we were deprived and most of you know what we had the regard from our teachers. The Hindu group, Sarkar Nikam, Ram Krishna, and later by Assis Booth, demonstrate and demonstrate. Gone are the days. Now we are able to forward. Almost all each state is working with each other to excel, to attract investments from different countries. Even that it is very difficult to reach these goals, as we know there are many states which we develop from the list. Here, under this scenario, I want to speak on this one fair versus free. Actually, individual I told you, leading finances. Our finances is more better and we are borrowing and this borrowed money is spending on unproductive purposes. So they will not be sustainable development or even development. That is a big problem. Going to the historical background of this freebies. It goes back, the story goes back to 140 BC. That is smaller period. Of those years, entertainment. So here there 15 people that go to month. So they are not bothered. They are enjoying free food and all of this. This fitting to the story of this genesis of free food. Maybe it may be correct or somewhere it may lie. We find many examples in the history. There are welfare activities undertaken by government, but free these very few examples. Yeah, what is free and what is welfare? It is very difficult to distinguish between these two, though there are definitions. As wider and long term. But the difference is very unclear. We are saying that in the freebies. Politicians say that there are not freebies meant for welfare. This argument is very difficult unless there is watertight classification between the two by a expert. There is free food, not legislature. Of course, judiciary they cannot they get. Of course, before they will better. Here in our country, freebies are goods and services which are given free without any charge to users. They are generally aimed at benefiting the targeted population in the short run. They are often seen as a way of luring voters, bribing them with populist promises. Here, examples there are many examples which I put them in different things different heads. I will tell them. Utilities. Hundred percent for encouraging and each state is vying with other. Simply, this was began in 1954 as a welfare measure, if I remember well, 1954 by Kamaras, the then Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. We started midday meal scheme for students. There is a beautiful attendance and progression to schools. Attendance also improved. And later, CN Annadurai, he gave 1 rupee rice scheme, 1 rupee share or 20 something like that. And another example we can cite 2 rupees stage by N.T. Raman. These are good, better examples. So far so good at the time. But later, color, taste, size, font, everything is changing like a Canadian tree. What will happen like this means nobody knows. But ingenious base, what we call differently. Particularly, again, these are the from Tamil Nadu, from 1980, if I remember, and Jayalalitha came before going to elections, given color TV, grinder, mixer, fan, and other equipment. And some of these were sold in neighboring districts, Vijayawada. We used to get many newspaper reports. That all started in the 80s. Of course, even during the time of M.G. Ramachandran also it is there, but not up to this extent. Only most of the things are repair schemes. Only after Jayalalitha's the initiative, these are taking action. And after 80s, particularly after 2000, almost all the states taking these things to different levels. states are vying with each other to spend on freebies. What these people do, they are not bothered. Simply you ask what they say, government is giving. These people are bothered. An election for democratic reform, so you know most of these people from Delhi-based NGO, they will conduct surveys and they will publish reports about the results on something like cases. They survey 42% of voters consider the distribution of liquor and freebies as essential factor behind voting for a particular candidate rather than the candidate's plan for the website. This report is from 2019. Now I switch over to economic survey 24 and sorry 25 cases. In which this point is highlighted. You know, before the presentation of budget, normally finance minister presents this economic survey to the parliament. In the last week of January, she presented this. This economic survey 25-26 flags the unchecked rise of freebies provided by the state governments in India. It says they are draining public finances and widening deficit by leaving little money for investments in infrastructure and human capital. It argued that reforms are needed to freebie culture and that adjust policymakers to adopt outcome-linked, time-bound models. The policy document presented by Finance Minister says that unconditional cash transfers rolled out aggressively by state ballooned more than fivefold between 2023 to 25. Fivefold people in 3 years. It is spending touching an estimated 1.75 lakh crores a year in that year. While these schemes largely targeted at women, have provided immediate income relief and boosted consumption, the survey argues they have failed to deliver durable gains in nutrition, medical. They have dependent these things deepened revenue deficits, crowded up capital expenditure. Now, tightened the states more than me. Almost all the states are adopting fiscal indiscipline. They are not considering the figures even working. That is what control the is. They are not getting the real figures. They are taking different ways to conceive these things. All are gruesome figures. With committed expenditures are consuming in yearly 2/3 of fiscal state revenues, infrastructure and human capital investments are increasingly being sacrificed at the expense of freebies or universal cash transfers. Since financial year 22-23, the number of states offering unconditional cash transfers has risen sharply. Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Jharkhand, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Assam, West Bengal, and Haryana. Before going to summarize what the here, I want to quote one report by Financial Express dated February 25. There is a chart which gives dates and compares the percentage allocation towards capital expenditure and freebies along with the capital expenditure freebie. Gujarat 3.65 lakh total budget, capital expenditure is 26%, freebie 6.8%, and capital expenditure freebies ratio 3.8. And coming to Andhra Pradesh, 3.22 lakh crore budget, capital expenditure 1.4%, and freebies 15.5%. So the chart ranks Gujarat and Andhra, showing 26% of its total budget allocated to capital expenditure and 6.8 to free. Whereas Andhra Pradesh occupies the last slot with 12.4 capex and 15.5 freebies, resulting in a 0.x ratio. Yeah, there are many things held out from controller and after what he is saying, what election commission is saying, what Supreme Court is saying. You know, there are a number of cases filed against these petitions filed against freebies. You know, there is a thing where separation is delivered judiciary, and nobody is supposed to intervene. As a result, here, whatever these people say, they support these things because they are giving fair to the people, whereas others are saying that not fair, but really that is what both are where we not actually happened in many countries, you know, Sri Lanka, the best example. Then there are many countries who went like this and went to France. So we may go. What we need is regulatory. So we check the things means there may be many things, but legal framework, legislative framework, awareness. Let there be a committee consisting of controller and architect, and political parties, particularly opposition parties, etc. Voters should be educated. The long-term consequences of freebies to reduce the working fund relation of firms. Where from they are getting, where they are going to get money from all these relational transactions. That is good. So, all freebies must be demand driven, targeted, need based, where possible, conditional cash transfers, that is a check-up, school attendance, etc., similar to models President Mexico, it was suggested by economic survey. It should be mandatory for political parties to declare the funding mechanism for their provinces in their election manifesto. There is an urgent need to balance electoral democracy with fiscal prudence. While freebies offer short-term relief, they risk undermining long-term development. The right path forward lies in designing conditional, targeted, and time-bound welfare schemes that build human capabilities rather than dependency, thereby sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you, Satyanam Garu, for your Now I request Ram Garu to deliver his
సార్ యాక్చువల్లీ రిమోట్ ఉంది మీకు ఇస్తాం రిమోట్ మీరు ఓకే
ప్రొఫెసర్ ఎల్కే మోహన్ రావు గారు, కోటేశ్వరరావు గారు, కాన్ఫరెన్స్ ప్రెసిడెంట్ సత్యనారాయణ గారు, former colleagues of the departments of economics, public economics, research scholars, students, and all those other dignitaries. I start with an apology. My predecessor, Satyanarayan Garu, also spoke of freebies. I call them as a direct benefit transfers, loosely termed as freebies. Freebies is a term which is more derogatory, and I don't want to use that term. I have received help while writing this paper from my former colleague, Srinivas Reddy. He is an associate professor in the INSES, Hyderabad. I am presently placed in Institute for Development Studies, which is an offshoot of INSES, Hyderabad. even though I refer to the same theme, my focus will be totally different. I take you to some of theory and then discuss about various merits and demerits of direct benefit transfers, DBTs, simple. DBTs, direct benefit transfers. The case for DBTs is ingrained in welfare economics. You all know about the basics of welfare economics. It has been developed by scholars like Bentham, Pigou, Pareto, and more recently, John Rawls. Bentham and Pigou are on the same board. They argue that redistribution of national dividend from the rich to the poor is desirable to enhance welfare. They give a pride of place to equity. Mere increase in GDP makes no sense unless it is also equitably distributed. Next, we have the argument of Pareto, who emphasizes efficiency. He is ready to sacrifice equity for the purpose of enhancing growth. Enhancing welfare is tantamount to producing more of output, according to Pareto. And then we have Rawls.
when unconditional cash transfers are made, a lot of money gets infused into the economy. As a result, markets will flourish. Multiplier effects also come to operate. And therefore, this is all good for the economy, local economy. But at the same time, when you flush so much cash into the economy, this also has some problems. The reach of food grains is at stake. It is found through various studies that PDS food grains do not reach the targeted population. There will be many leakages. In fact, there is a validation study conducted in 2005, which comes out with the startling finding that 58% of the beneficiaries, targeted BPL households, do not reach these subsidized food grains, do not receive these subsidized food grains. And not only that, administrative expenditure associated with child transfers is also very huge. This number starting financial that I show there, to transfer income of 1 rupee to the poor, government incurs a cost of 3.65 rupees. In fact, this particular study is instrumental in government resorting to DBTs, direct benefit transfers. Time transfers, cash transfers. Time transfers are so costly to administer. These are all the various types of DBT, various forms of DBTs. They may not end poverty, but they can certainly reduce poverty gap. Intensity of poverty, you all know as students of economics, no difference between poverty ratio, incidence of poverty, and poverty gap. Poverty gap is certainly reduced on account of DBTs. Also, when these DBTs were introduced in South America, they have had, especially in the form of conditional cash transfers, Brazil, for instance, they have had long-term possible positive impact on schooling of children and also returns from schooling. It tells that DBTs can have even long-term positive impacts, but at least they will be useful for reducing poverty gap, not poverty incidence. Anyway, there is no magic bullet. The DBTs not all DBTs are suitable to all occasions. You have to choose. You have to be selective based on your understanding of merits and demerits of DBTs. You have to choose the best possible DBT to the occasion. Now we come to, let me use the word freebies here. Sometimes beneficiaries of expecting the political leaders in the process expect the beneficiaries to travel there through votes in elections. Here, we need to, these are usually called as freebies. But all transfers are not distortionary. Some of these transfers are legitimate. They are in accordance with the Constitution, in accordance with the directives of state policy. So you cannot call everything with the derivative term freebies. Some of these transfers do serve a legitimate purpose. But of course, there are some transfers which are distortionary. They distort the use of resources. Resource use might become inefficient because of some of the transfers. For instance, free electricity. Because of free electricity, what happens is that underground water is overexploited, water salinity takes place, water depletion takes place, and also excessive water, overexploitation of water may lead to water intensive crops, even in areas where water scales. So, some transfers, some schemes, free electricity one scheme, some schemes cause misallocation of resources. There's no doubt about it. But then politicians cannot be restrained from granting distortionary duties. You cannot stop them. So we have to live with these transfers also, along with of course some legitimate transfers. What we should be considered, what we should concern ourselves with is that future generations do not suffer because of present day transfers. This should be the norm against which we should judge the case. Future generations should not suffer because of present day transfers. This is one. Secondly, development expenditure should not be sacrificed for these are the two norms against which one has to judge transfers. This will mean that government has to be judicious in raising funds for financing activities. In fact, the Supreme Court once spoke of specifying the sources of activities is important on the part of politicians, but they don't care. Nobody cares. Membership offices can be of different types, and nobody can keep track of all those offices. They grant judiciously and injudiciously. What I mean to say here is that ideally the government should fund activities through progressive taxes. The political leadership should be ready to acknowledge, ready to antagonize the rich to serve the poor. Let them go to hell. You serve the poor before you can access welfare. To put everything together, we cannot set aside activities. They are welfare enhancing. Irrespective of the form, I also support discretionary freebies. You cannot every time examine whether a particular activity is discretionary or necessary. Support everything. Because, number one, the poor deserve a share of the fruits of development of the nation. Take, for instance, the 40. Rate of growth of the economy is 5.6% in real terms. This is among the highest in the world, among the major countries. When the economy is expanding so fast, why not give a share of that cake to the poor? This is one. Secondly, since 1991, we have had privatization and liberalization. As a result, inequalities have increased tremendously. If you consider the wealth inequality, for instance, top 1% of the people have control over 40% of composition. Consider the growth of inequalities. Inequalities can be measured using the Gini ratio, you know. Gini ratio in the recent past increased from 0.65 to 0.74. This is a very sensitive measure. Increase from very high. So, given these inequalities, the poor should be provided with some safety nets, and these DBTs are one of the important safety nets. And then were highest, paying no inheritance tax, mind you. In fact, recently also there is a lot of debate about inheritance tax. And Sam Recruiter said something which created a lot of havoc. So who transfer their wealth paying no inheritance tax? Government transfers so many benefits to the corporate sector paid in the form of tax cuts that you see recently before the COVID, tax ratio after tax used to be 35%. Now it is only 25%. So there is a lot of concessions being given to the corporate sector. And the rich can transfer the cash for paying inheritance tax when government itself.
The morning session we were happy to move to lunch. Now I invite I also invite Professor Samu in his command. Ma photo.
Next program.
For this technical session, I invite Professor Malay Garu, Professor of Economics of Central University, Hyderabad, to act as chairman for this technical session one. Professor Malay Garu. I invite Professor Parmeswara Garu, the Vice Chairman of AP Economic Association, to act as co-chairman for this session. I invite Dr. Karimullah, the executive member of APA, to act as our rapid steward for this session. Please conduct the proceedings.
Good afternoon to all delegates, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Today's the session is Vikasit Bharat, Developed Nation 2047. Now we are moving towards we are in Amrit Kaal, passing the Amrit Kaal, then we will reach the developed nation when on par with the to do, and what are the steps taken, and the need for the development of India is highly essential. In this session, number of papers will inform the latest developments of the Indian developed nation. Here the per capita income 15,000 to 18,000, and to reach the 7 to 10% of the GDP 27, and different sectors are there. Yuva, Mahila, and various Yuva, Garib, Mahila, and Kisan. The four sectors are taken into account to develop different ways. Multi-dimensional approaches are designed by the government of India to speed up our developmental activities. For this, the Yuva designed to skill development youth, because our country is a youth country. Youth power is more. So your country can be are getting the degrees, but no skills. So skill development is very important for to uplift there, and employability is very important for the more youth education, development, employment, and also Kisan. Kisan is very important. Our country, India, lives in its villages. Even after the 76 years of independence and more than that, the Indian farmers are living debt, dying debt, and still they are in a disappointed conditions. So they are producing, but they are not getting the minimum support prices. So you can see in the Anakapalli area recently, their entire tomato drawn in on the roads. So they are not getting their share. So how to develop the farmers? Farmer development is very important. So farmer development is very important. So providing the various facilities, not only farmer development, but also we hear the sea coast is more sea coast in India. We rich in resources, particularly fisheries development. Providing fish products, and marketing of the fish product, processing of the fish products, and enrich not only to develop the women's flock, and also fisheries development and marketability, and added value products. Now we are more concentrated towards the value added products. We are producing all products, but we are not in added value added products. So with this, we are planning to reach our country, forwarding the country. On the one side youth, on the other side farmers, on the multi-dimensional way, women, and to uplift the poor people by way of reaching on par with the developed nations. I welcome you all for this session. On behalf of our chairman, I am inviting papers. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Particularly, I thank to the President, Chairman Elga Mohan Garu, Secretary and Treasurer M. Kodisara Garu, and Swami Garu, my Guru Garu, Samamurthy Garu, and G. Krishnamurthy Garu, my good friend, Madhubabu Garu, dynamic young friend, Madhubabu Garu, and other reputed intellectuals, and మహిళా వాళ్ళందరికీ నా అభినందనలు తెలియజేస్తున్నాను. నాకు ఈ అవకాశం ఇచ్చిన వారికి కృతజ్ఞతలు తెలియజేస్తున్నాను. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
first of all, I have to say congratulations to Lily Grace Madam, because this session, the response of paper presenters is coming nearly 60. 60 papers are there for only this session. Is only one theme. It means now we can see the success rate of this conference on first day itself. So I think grand success. I congratulate the organizers and local organizers and AP Economic Association. Thank you very much and giving me this opportunity. Now I don't know how to manage the 60 presenters in one session. It is hectic. And Vasant Saroj Kumari, Vijendra Kumar, thank you. Yamuna and Asha Lata Madam. And again Trilok Reddy, Asha Begum, Dr. Asha Begum.
Sir, ask them to raise hands, sir.
Yeah, I am taking that. I am taking the attendance. Dr. Adilakshmi. Killi Amurta. B. Kumar. Yeah, B. Kumar, sir. B. Kumar present. Challagal Brahmi. Yeah. David Babu. Rangoli David Babu and Prasan Gopi. Ramana Rao. Miriam Paul. Sujata. Sunita. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I think I can't read all 60 names here. The first session already circulated. Those who are present here, please raise your hands. Yeah, one by one, please I call. Please come and present your papers. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll start with the first paper. Trilok Reddy. Yeah, please. Yeah, and also for presentation, please keep mind of time. I think presentation of your 8 minutes, discussion or suggestion for 2 minutes. Total your time is 10 minutes. I request all presenters please confine to your time and complete your presentation. Remaining thing will discuss on tea time. Thank you very much. Presenters are requested. If you have any PPT, please upload here and get ready for your presentation, please. I request all presenters, those who are available here in the hall, I request you to upload your PPT if you have, and let us save the time. Vijendra Kumar and Sita Manian, yeah, please. Please upload your paper PPTs. If no PPTs, directly will come. There is no issue. PPT is not mandatory. Vijendra Kumar, you have PPT, sir? You have just come. Yeah, please come.
Good afternoon all, respected dignitaries on the dais. My name is Yan Vijendra Kumar, research scholar, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar College of Law, Andhra University. My topic is World Bank lending on the sustainable use of natural resources, water, land and forests in middle income countries. The sustainable use of natural resources, water, land and forests are central to economic development, ecosystem services and human well-being. Middle-income countries occupy a pivotal space in global development. They harbor significant natural capital, experience rapid urbanization and agricultural intensification, and often face complex governance and institutional constraints. International financial institutions, notably the World Bank, has been major actors in financing and shaping policy for natural resource management in MICs. Over recent decades, World Bank lending portfolios have evolved to address environmental sustainability, climate adaptation, and inclusive growth. This paper assesses World Bank lending on the sustainable use of water, land, and forests in MICs. It addresses three broad research questions. Number one is, what are the trends and characteristics of World Bank lending directed at these natural resources in MICs? Number two, what project design elements, institutional arrangements, and contextual factors are associated with positive sustainability outcomes? Number three, what policy recommendations emerge to enhance the effectiveness of World Bank interventions? The analysis draws on peer-reviewed evaluations, World Bank project documents and reports, and selected country case studies to synthesize evidence and derive policy-relevant lessons. The World Bank engages with middle-income countries both as clients and shareholders. These countries are major drivers of global growth, home to major infrastructure investments, and recipients of a large share of exports from advanced economies and poorer countries. Many are making rapid economic and social progress, and they play an ever larger role in finding solutions to global challenges. MICs have more than 70% of world's poor population. Often they live in remote areas and they have limited access to private finance, makes these countries vulnerable to economic shocks and the crises that cross borders, including climate change, forced migration and pandemics. The World Bank Group is an essential partner to MICs, which represent more than 60% of its portfolio. World Bank Group provides a combination of financial resources, knowledge, and technical services. World Bank Group strategic advice helps government reform to improve services, encourage more private investment, and innovate and share solutions. It's also partner with countries like challenges emerge and evolve through innovative financial products and a wide range of global firms. How the World Bank is financed? World Bank raises most of its funds in the world's financial markets. This allows it to provide more than $500 billion in loans to alleviate poverty around the world since 1946, with its share about 14 billion in capital. World Bank has maintained a AAA rating ranging since 1959. This high rating allows it to borrow at low cost and offer middle income developing countries across to capital in favorable terms, helping ensure that development projects go forward in a more sustainable manner while often complementing or catalyzing private financing. IBRD earns income every year from the return of its equity and from all the margin it makes on lending. This pays for the World Bank operating expenses, goes into reserves to strengthen the balance sheet, and provides an annual transfer of funds to IDA, the fund for the poorest countries. The objectives of this paper is to characterize the scope, scale, and trends of World Bank lending for water, land, and forest sustainability in MICs, for identifying key design features, institutional conditions, and contextual factors associated with success or failure, to propose actionable policy recommendations to improve the sustainable use of natural resources and developmental impact of future World Bank's lending in MICs. The legal aspects of the sustainable use of natural resources. The natural resources, water, land, and plants are inherent and inalienable rights for all the mankind by birth. Among these natural resources, water plays a vital role in every walks of the life of human beings. No living organisms can be existed without water. It is mentioned in the Bible about the water in the book of Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1 that in the beginning the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters, and it continued about land and trees. According to Rig Veda, the water, land and trees also plays a vital role and has its own importance. In other religious texts also they are mentioned. Importantly, the regulation of water has been an important concern for rulers since antiquity. Water law is one of the key areas of the legal framework. There is an intrinsic link between water and life on earth. The international water law has contributed partly in shaping domestic water law and policy. Though water is not specifically mentioned in International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, the human right to water is recognized implicitly. The UN General Assembly recently adopted a resolution confirming the recognition of the right to water in international law. In India, water has emerged as a fundamental right. In the case of Subhash Kumar versus State of Bihar in 1991, one of the early pronouncements of Supreme Court in the context of Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. In case of Hamid Khan versus State of Madhya Pradesh in 1996, adds right to water primarily through Article 47 of the Constitution. The latest Vishala Kochi Kodivalla Samrakshana Samti versus State of Kerala in 2006 produces constitutional provisions Article about Article 15, Article 21 and Article 47. The World Bank projects in Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh became the first state in India to receive a direct structural adjustment loan from the World Bank in 1997 under the Chief Ministership of Sri Nara Chandrababu Naidu. The state has secured a massive loan, estimated around 5,000 crores to fund fiscal restructuring, irrigation and infrastructure development, making a significant departure from the previous requirement of routing loans to the center. The World Bank further financed to Andhra Pradesh in 2010 and also recently in December 2024 for the Amaravati Integrated Urban Development Program AIUDP to develop the capital city. The findings are the World Bank's lending portfolio for water, land and forest in MICs displayed several trends. Number one, absolute volumes for water remained substantial, but composition shifted towards integrated water management, urban sanitation, and water security in the face of climate risks. My recommendations, I will give one recommendation and conclude. The World Bank should prioritize support for participatory mapping, legal recognition of customary rights, and reforms that protect vulnerable groups from dispossession, complementary measures, and access to markets, extension services, and finance are necessary to translate tenure security in sustainable investments. My conclusion, World Bank lending for the sustainable use of natural resources in MICs has evolved towards integrated approaches that combine investments, institutional reform, and climate resilience. Evidence indicates that projects with integrated design, secure tenure, robust M&E, stakeholder participation, and adaptive financing yield more durable sustainability outcomes. Future research should be prioritize long-term independent impact evaluations that measure ecological endpoints and distributional effects to better inform policy and practice. With this, I conclude. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I invite only two questions. Please wait.
Okay.
Any two questions? If no questions, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now we go to next speaker. Just let me. Are you ready? Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. Respected sir, I would like to give you to all to give me an opportunity to present my paper on this green transformation under climate change, the millets and food security in the Andhra Pradesh towards Fixed Bharat 2047. What we are targeting 2047. Now I am currently working as an assistant professor at Ramaya University of Applied Sciences. I would like to thanks to Ramaya University for giving me opportunity to present my paper at Andhra University, Visakhapatnam. Please next slide. Can you move to the next slide? Can you move to next? Yes, sir. So the background of this paper is tells like climate change is increasingly affecting agricultural sustainability, particularly in the semi-arid regions. These includes like their rising temperatures and erratic monsoon patterns, declining groundwater levels, their increasing vulnerability of the small farmers, and they mainly focus on the semi-arid regions. This towards sustainable transformation to 2047, the inputs. Can you go up? Like go up. I think due to some. Okay, now it's actually you can touch. Yeah. Okay. The towards a sustainable transformation to 2047, it goes like this. The inputs, what are the inputs like seed development, some support from the financial support, extension services, and the production, whereas in the production, cultivation of the millets, they are the efficient farming practices and the processing, in case of processing, the investment in the processing units, storage and distribution. Under the storage and distribution, it goes to the investment in the storage facilities. Then in the marketing improvement, support of the agri processing industries. And climate change in agriculture in Andhra Pradesh. Nowadays in Andhra Pradesh, there is always more humidity in the semi-arid regions. The frequent drought conditions in the several districts, like I observed in the Sanandpur district, then Kurnool district, Nellore, more frequent drought conditions in these districts, and their dependence on the water intensive crops such as the paddy. Why millets? I say this, millets are considered as climate resilient smart crops, right? The advantages like they significantly less water than rice and wheat, highly drought tolerant, then they're adaptable to cool soils and semi-arid regions, and they require lower chemical inputs. As you know, millets known as such bajra, jar, then ragi have historically been a part of traditional farming system in India. And the importance, as you know, like they are very rich in nutritional deficiencies, iron, calcium, fiber. They are promoting the millet consumption, they can contribute to improved nutrition. Maybe significance goes like this. There are three connects dimensions. One is climate change, then agricultural transformation, and food and nutritional security. This also contributes to India's long-term development vision towards Viksit Bharat 2047. In objective of this study goes, they examine the impact of the climate change in the sustainable agriculture in Andhra Pradesh. They analyze the trends in millet cultivation and paddy cultivation, and they assess the economic viability of millet farming. They propose a roadmap, policy roadmap for sustainable agriculture. The data sources are taken from government reports, agricultural statistics, statdata.gov.in, from research publications, from the policy documents. Analytical methods, I think like in the comparative assessment, the traditional statistical analysis, they focus main broad prone regions of the Andhra Pradesh. This is a framework of this entire paper. The climate change challenges, they shift towards the climate resilient crops, then benefits, what are the